The stars outside the window barely shimmered anymore. Galatian Prime, once the brightest jewel of human expansion, now drifted in silence. Once full of life, now broken. Commander Jax Voss stood on the observation deck of the Ark ship Hopebound. His hands rested behind his back. The city below was dying. Its outer rings flickered with failing lights. Smoke curled from what used to be green biodomes. Towers that once reached proudly into space now leaned, cracked by time and war. Jax had been here before. Years ago he wore a different uniform, and gave orders that destroyed worlds in the name of peace. Now he wore a simple gray command suit. No medals, no rank patches, just responsibility. A soft chime broke the silence. "Commander Voss," said a voice through the intercom. It was Lieutenant Solon, his second in command. "Final fuel checks complete. We are on schedule for departure in 72 hours. "Thank you, Lieutenant," Jax replied. His voice was steady, but his chest felt heavy. He turned away from the window and walked through the corridor. The ship felt new, too new. They had rushed its construction. Thousands of engineers, scientists and civilians had poured everything into this last chance. There were no more resources left to fix anything if it failed. As Jax passed through the medical bay, children laughed in one corner. They were playing with floating toys, unaware of the gravity of the situation. Their parents watched quietly. Some smiled, others looked away. He entered the command deck. Holograms lit up around the room. Maps of failing colonies, red dots marking dead planets, blinking warnings from forgotten outposts. A large image flickered into focus. The galaxy itself, dim at the edges, black holes growing, stars going dark. A slow death. Jax stared at it. They had tried everything. Terraforming, AI governance, fusion-based economies. But it wasn't enough. Humanity had expanded too fast, used too much, fought too many wars, and now they were leaving. Message incoming from Central Authority, Lieutenant Solon said suddenly. High priority. From Director Corovel. Jax's jaw tightened. He knew that name too well. Put it through. A figure appeared. Sharp suit, gray eyes, voice cold as ice. Commander Voss, Corovel said. You are ordered to delay launch. You and your passengers are needed for the restoration plan. This is not a request. The message cut off before Jax could reply. Silence filled the room. Jax looked at Solon. Log the message. No response. Yes, sir. Jax turned back to the map of the galaxy. Too much damage. Too little time. He whispered to himself. It's too late to fix it. He walked away from the screen. The briefing room aboard the Hopebound was quiet. The walls were bare. A single strip of blue light ran across the ceiling, casting a soft glow on the long metal table where Commander Jax Voss sat alone. The message from Director Corovel still played in his head. You are ordered to delay launch. You and your passengers are needed for the restoration plan. This is not a request. It had been almost 2 decades since Jax last spoke with Coro. Back then, they were allies working together to defend the colonies during the AI uprisings. But Coro had changed, or maybe Jax had. He tapped a screen on the table. Files opened satellite scans of dying worlds, colony distress calls, power grid failures. More proof that the galaxy wasn't coming back. The door slid open. Lieutenant Solon stepped in. Her face was calm, but her eyes were tense. We've received another broadcast, she said. It's being shared across all remaining channels. She placed a small projector on the table. A blue light blinked, and Coro's face appeared again, this time speaking to the entire human population still tuned in. My fellow survivors, Coro said, this is not the end. The restoration plan is underway. Our scientists are rebuilding planetary ecosystems. Our fleets are reclaiming abandoned sectors. Leaving the galaxy now is a betrayal of everything we've built. He paused, his voice harder now. Commander Jax Voss plans to flee with thousands of lives. He refuses to fight for our survival. This is not bravery, it is fear. The message ended. Jax leaned back in his chair. He's calling me a coward. Solon nodded. He's trying to divide us. Some of the crew have already seen it. Reactions, mixed. Some believe we should stay. Others trust you. Jack stood. Schedule a crew-wide address. I'll speak to them tonight. Yes, Commander. That evening, the Hopebound's largest hall filled with crew, families and passengers. Hundreds sat on benches. Some stood along the walls. The atmosphere was tense. Whispers spread like smoke. The lights dimmed, and Jack stepped onto a small platform. He didn't use notes. He didn't raise his voice. I heard what Koro said, he began. So did you. He looked around the room. Faces old and young, tired and scared. He says we're giving up. But I want you to ask yourselves this. What are we giving up on? He paused. The room was silent. We gave the galaxy everything. We built cities on moons. We shaped entire planets. We made peace with machines. We fought wars. We lost people. And we still tried. He took a slow breath. But the damage is too deep now. The systems are failing. The stars are fading. Koro wants us to stay behind and fight for something that's already falling apart. A child in the front row looked up at him, clutching a stuffed toy. I'm not running, Jack said. I'm choosing to protect what's left. You, murmurs spread. Some nodded, some still looked unsure. I won't stop anyone from leaving this ship, but I will not stay behind and wait for collapse. He stepped down. No applause, just quiet understanding. Later that night, Jack stood alone on the viewing deck again. Behind him the ship felt still. Below him Galactic Prime turned slowly in the dark. He whispered to the stars. This isn't fear. This is letting go. The alarm rang in short, sharp bursts. Red lights flashed along the corridors of the Hopebound. Commander Jax Voss rushed into the control room. Crew members were already at their stations, hands moving fast over control panels. Report, Jack said calmly. Lieutenant Solon didn't look up. Power dip in Sector 7. Life support dropped to 30% for 90 seconds. 90 seconds, Jax repeated, jaw tight. Anyone hurt? No injuries. Emergency backups kicked in. Still, Jax knew this wasn't normal. The Hopebound was brand new. Systems should not be failing. Not yet. Show me the logs, he said. Solon pulled up the system records. A clear line of code ran across the screen. Altered sequences in the power grid. Lines had been rerouted. Someone had done this on purpose. This wasn't a malfunction, she said quietly. It was sabotage. Jack stared at the screen, heart sinking. We have a traitor on board. Hours later, the ship's security team found the culprit. Engineer Rylan Tor, one of the tech crew assigned to power systems. He was young, quiet, and rarely spoke unless spoken to. Jax watched from behind a one-way window as Rylan sat alone in the interview room. Hands cuffed, eyes blank. Did he say anything? Jax asked the security chief. Only this, the chief said, handing Jax a scrap of folded paper. Jax opened it. The restoration plan is still possible. You're making a mistake. Jax entered the room. Rylan looked up. He didn't speak. Why? Jax asked. His voice was calm but firm. You're giving up, Rylan said. The director believes we still have a chance. He said you'd hesitate, that you'd be afraid. Jax sat across from him. I've seen entire systems fall. Planets burned. Machines turn against us. There's no fixing this. Rylan shook his head. You're just tired. That's not the same as being right. You risked thousands of lives, Jax said. Children, families. For a chance to stop me. For hope, Rylan replied. Jax stood. No, for control. He left the room. Lock him up. No harm, no broadcast, no more sabotage. That evening Jax met again with his senior officers in the command chamber. He laid Rylan's note on the table. Korovel has people on this ship, he said. This was a warning. We need to check every system, Solon said. Every code line, every crew member. Jax nodded. Do it quietly. No panic. We leave in 4 days. No matter what. Solon leaned forward. Do you think Koro will try something bigger? Jax looked around the room. His voice was steady, but low. Yes, he said. I think this was just the beginning. Late at night, Jax walked alone through the quiet corridors of the Hopebound. He passed sleeping quarters, darkened halls, humming engines. He paused at a window and stared out into the stars. There were still people who believed the galaxy could be saved. Still people willing to die trying. But Jax knew what they didn't. He had seen the data no one else had. The galaxy wasn't dying. It was already dead. Commander Jax Voss sat alone in his quarters. The lights dimmed to a soft blue. He held a small black cube in his hands, a data recorder from the war. He hadn't played it in years. With a sigh, he pressed it. A younger version of himself appeared in the projection, standing beside another officer, Colonel Yara Rin. They were smiling, bloodied, in full combat gear, standing near the ruins of a burned-out space station. Jax shut it off. The past was a ghost that followed him, even here. The door chimed. "Come in," he said. The door opened slowly. Jax stood in shock. Colonel Yara Rin stepped into the room, very much alive, wearing civilian clothes. Her short gray hair was pulled back. Her face was older but still sharp, alert. "I didn't think I'd see you again," Jax said. "I wasn't sure you'd let me on board," she replied. "I didn't," he said, narrowing his eyes. She gave a faint smile. "I have friends. You're not the only one who knows how to slip through security." Jax gestured for her to sit. She did. "Why are you here, Yara?" he asked, his voice tight. "To stop you," she said simply. He didn't flinch. "Then say what you came to say." She leaned forward. "You're making a mistake, Jax. We were trained to lead, to rebuild. That's what the restoration plan is about. Koro believes in it. So do I." "It's too late," Jax said. "You know it is." "No," she said firmly. "I've seen the numbers. We have working systems on 3 planets. AI is under control again. We've stabilized 2 suns. We can come back from this." Jax shook his head slowly. "You're patching holes in a sinking ship. We can still fight for it," she said. "We already did," Jax replied. "We fought. We won some battles. But the war is over. We lost." Yara's voice dropped. "You're tired. You're giving up." "No," he said. "I'm choosing to protect what we have left. I'm choosing peace." She looked at him, searching his face. "You were never one to run, and you were never one to see when the fight was done," he said quietly. For a long moment they said nothing. Then Yara stood. "Koro will stop you. He's ready to use force." "I know," Jax said. "You should turn back while you still can." "I won't," he said. Yara hesitated, then stepped forward and placed something on the table, a small silver pin, their old division symbol. "Goodbye, Jax." She turned and left without another word. That night, Jax called an emergency senior staff meeting. He stood at the center of the operations room, the silver pin still in his hand. "I received a warning from an old friend," he said. "Koro is preparing to stop us by force." "Then we defend ourselves?" Solon asked. "No," Jax said. "We don't fire unless we must. We protect the ship. No war, not again." One of the tactical officers, Commander Reyes, looked doubtful. "If they send drones or ships, we may not have a choice." "We always have a choice," Jax replied. "If we start shooting, we prove Koro right, that we're rebels. We're not. We're just leaving." The room was silent. They all knew the risks, but they also trusted him. Solon nodded. "Understood, Commander." Later, walking the quiet decks, Jax passed groups of people. Some played music, others shared food or sat in silence. Everyone was waiting. Jax paused by the main viewing window. The stars still looked the same, but everything else had changed. He closed his eyes and whispered, "We are not running. We are choosing a new path." The ship was quiet just before dawn. Most of the passengers were still asleep. The hum of the engines was steady. Nothing seemed wrong. Then the alarm screamed. Red lights flashed across the Hopebound. Doors sealed. Voice warnings echoed through the halls. "Alert, incoming threats detected. All crew to stations." "This is not a drill." Commander Jax Voss ran onto the bridge, followed closely by Lieutenant Solon. The main screen displayed a swarm of small objects moving fast toward the ship. "Drones," Solon said. 10 of them, Armed, speed high. They'll reach us in less than 4 minutes. Visual, Jax ordered. The screen zoomed in. The drones were black, sharp and fast. Built for quick strikes, not long battles. Corovel's design. They're targeting the launch engines, a tech officer reported. If they hit, we're grounded. Jax stood tall. Shield status. Online and holding, Solon answered. But only for a few hits. Activate the defense grid. Jax said. Non-lethal weapons only. EMP bursts and static nets. No projectiles. But if the shields drop, the officer began. No lethal fire, Jax repeated. We are not starting a war. As the drones approached, small turrets unfolded from the sides of the Hopebound. They hummed with energy. The first drone hit the outer shield. Sparks flew across the barrier. The ship shook. Shield at 92%. Reported the system AI. The turrets fired bursts of focus static. One drone shorted out and spun away into the dark. Another dodged and kept coming. Jax gripped the railing. Steady. Time it. Let them get close, then fire. Another burst of energy hit the shields. The lights flickered. Sparks flew in the engine bay. Shield at 71%. Come on, Jax muttered. Then 3 turrets fired at once. 2 drones exploded in harmless flashes of light. A third crashed into the side of the ship, scraping metal but missing the engine. The crew cheered. But it wasn't over. 4 more inbound, shouted Solon. They're aiming for the launch thrusters directly. Jax made a quick decision. Open bay doors. Launch repair drones. Keep them outside. Block any impact with the bots if we have to. That's dangerous, Solon said. Not as dangerous as never leaving. Jax said. Outside the ship, the repair drones floated out in a tight formation. They weren't built for fighting, but they could shield. The attacking drones locked on, but now had obstacles. The next few seconds were chaos. Blinding lights, shutters in the hull, sparks flying from the shield panels. Then silence. The enemy drones were gone, disabled or scattered. The repair drones returned slowly. 2 of them damaged. Shields at 39%. The AI reported. Engines unharmed. A wave of relief passed over the bridge. We made it, someone whispered. Jax didn't speak. He just stared at the wreckage drifting past the windows. Later in his private quarters, Jax recorded a message. A final one. The camera blinked red. Recording. My name is Commander Jax Voss. If you're hearing this, then we've already left the galaxy. I want to speak not as a soldier, but as a man who has seen too much war. He paused, choosing his words. We tried to fix what was broken. We fought for it. We believed in it. But there's a time when rebuilding becomes surviving. And surviving means knowing when to let go. He looked into the camera. We are not abandoning the galaxy. We are saving what remains of humanity. I hope one day, those who stay behind understand that. He ended the recording. Then he whispered to himself. We leave in 2 days. No turning back. The ship felt heavier than usual. It wasn't the gravity. It was the silence. The kind that comes before something big, like the deep breath before a leap. Commander Jax Voss stood in the central operations room of the Hopebound. Around him, officers monitored systems, checked fuel lines, scanned flight paths. Every screen showed green. Everything was ready. The countdown to launch showed 18 hours. Lieutenant Solon entered the room, holding a datapad. Her face was tight. Message from Central Authority, she said. Jax didn't ask to see it. He already knew who it was from. Put it on the main screen. A calm, cold face appeared. Director Corovel. He looked tired, but determined. Commander Voss, he said. This is your final warning. If you launch, you and everyone aboard will be marked as deserters. You will not be welcomed back. You will be hunted. And you will fail. The galaxy still lives. You do not get to walk away. The message ended. Nobody spoke for a moment. Then Jax looked around at his team. He's wrong, he said. We gave this galaxy every chance. And in return it gave us war, famine, collapse. He paused. I don't want to leave with anger in my heart. I want to leave with hope. He turned to Solon. Begin final preparations. We launch on time. That night, Jax walked the corridors of the Hopebound. He passed by families saying goodbye to their past. Children asleep in beds they'd soon outgrow. Engineers checking last-minute systems. Some people cried. Some laughed. Some prayed. In the garden dome, an old man planted a small seed in a tray of soil. What are you growing? Jax asked. The man smiled. A tree might take 50 years to sprout, but I'll wait. Jax nodded. That's what this is all about, isn't it? The man shrugged. Can't fix what's gone, but we can start something new. 12 hours later, every person was aboard. Every lock sealed. The Hopebound hovered just outside the debris field of Galactic Prime. On the command deck, the launch countdown ticked away. 10, 9, 8. Jax stood at the front window. He didn't need a screen. He wanted to see it with his own eyes. 5, 4. Solon looked at him. Are we ready, Commander? Jax nodded once. We're ready. 3, 2, 1. The engines roared to life. The ship trembled, then it moved. The Hopebound shot forward, past the old satellites, past dead stations, past the edge of everything humanity had ever known. Alarms flashed. Long-range sensors detected pursuit ships. But they were too far now, too slow. No turning back. They passed the edge of the Milky Way. Before them stretched the black between galaxies, a quiet sea of stars waiting to be reached. Jax watched it all from the command deck. Arms folded, face calm. He didn't speak. He didn't have to. Behind him, Earth was gone. So was everything they had tried to fix. But ahead, there was a future. The stars looked different now. From the viewing deck of the Hopebound, Commander Jax Voss stood alone, watching the galaxy shrink behind them. The Milky Way, once home, now distant, glowed like a misty swirl in the black sky. Beautiful, silent, dying. The ship drifted forward at light cruising speed, crossing into true deep space. There were no more stations, no more patrols, no signals, just silence and stars. Jax placed his hand on the glass. He remembered Earth. He remembered the first colony on Mars, the floating cities of Europa, the battles on Titan, the rise of AI, the fall of nations, the silence that followed. And now the end of it all. Or maybe, not the end. Down in the ship's habitat ring, life continued. Children played in a long hallway, chasing each other on soft floors under warm lights. Engineers ran diagnostics on core systems. Farmers checked crops in hydroponic bays. People laughed, ate, slept, dreamed. They weren't soldiers. They weren't running anymore. They were settlers now, travelers, survivors. Hope was no longer something they were chasing. It was something they carried. In the main conference chamber, the senior staff gathered for the first meeting beyond the galaxy. No formal titles, no long reports, just quiet conversation. Solon looked at Jax. Do you think they'll follow? Koro. Jax shook his head. He might try, but he's chasing a past that's already gone. Do you think he believes what he said? She asked. Yes, Jax replied. And that's the problem. There was a long silence. Finally Jax stood. He walked to the front of the room. We're not going back, he said simply. There is no rescue coming, no reinforcements. We are it. He looked around the room, at faces now worn by stress but alive. We are the future now. Later that evening, Jax returned to the viewing deck. This time he wasn't alone. A young girl stood beside him, no older than 10. She held a drawing, a crayon sketch of a planet with green land, blue oceans, and 2 suns. Where is this? She asked. Not yet found, Jax said with a soft smile. But we're going to look for it. She smiled and ran off. Jax stared out at the endless black, and for the first time in years he didn't feel heavy. He felt light. In his heart there was no grief, No anger, only peace. The stars of a new galaxy appeared ahead. Bright, distant, waiting. Jax whispered. It was too late to fix it. But it's not too late to begin again. And with that, the hope-bound carried humanity into the unknown, leaving behind what was broken, and moving toward what might be built anew.